When Strabon of Amasya said imaginable things can never be destroyed, he was right, because the first owners of these lands were imaginative and wove their dreams of the future here. Their imaginations told them that these lands would be the homes of kings, sultans, and princes. They were right, for the king of Amassites, Amas Khan, ruled these lands. For innumerable years, the crowns of kings, sultans were passed down from one sovereign to another. Along the banks of the Yeşilırmak River lived many peoples of different races and religions. Princes were born and grew up here. Time passed. Years followed years, and thousands of years went by. Different people came and went, but there was one thing that never changed. It was the ancient city of Amasya. Amasya has always existed throughout history. The city has survived 18 different civilizations. It has always been important for people. Today, the people of Amasya live together with a history of 7,500 years. In every step they take, they touch something of an ancient civilization. They are accustomed to such surroundings. When praying in a 1,000-year-old mosque or playing the saz in an antique mental hospital used as a conservatory now, they do not think that they are breathing the air of hundreds of years. When they meet a first-comer to Amasya, they become aware of their heritage. They get excited. They begin to reconceive Amasya. They enjoy living the present and the past simultaneously. With structures of hundreds of centuries old, the modern and the ancient world live side by side in Amasya, home of kings, sultans, and princes. The city embodies the spirit and the texture of thousands of years. Findings from the Stone Age date the history of Amasya as far back as 7,500 years. But in order to become a city of kings, Amasya had to wait until the Bronze Age. The Harshena Castle, built on the summit of the Harshena mountain by Amas Khan, who was from the Amasite branch of the Hittite civilization, still fascinates people. The castle, also known as the Amasya Castle, has always been used for the same purpose for hundreds of centuries, and it has traces from every single civilization that lived in it. Visitors to the castle feel that they are experiencing a mysterious adventure when they look at the city from the castle, because they know that as they climb down the castle, they will pass through many centuries with every step. Their next stop will be the King Rock tombs. Even today, the King Rock tombs, which may belong to the Pontus kings, do not tell us who their real owners were. These are the 18 caves carved skillfully in the hard rocks on the skirts of the Harshena mountain. The history of only one of them is known as to why it was built and who it was built for. As the facade of the cave reflects the sunshine, people call it the Mirror Grotto. The frescoes on its walls tell us that the cave was used as a chapel during the Byzantine period. At different times in history, these caves were used as temples, shelters, and prisons by various civilizations that lived in Amasya. The caves can easily be seen during the day, and they are illuminated during the night, which creates a fascinating spectacle with its mysterious atmosphere. It is definitely certain that the kings of Amasya looked down from the Harshena castle and whispered their dreams to the wind. They leaned their backs on the mountains. They imprinted their tracks of hundreds of centuries in every grain of soil we step on today. In this city, known to have been founded by Amas Khan of the Amassites, sovereignty was delivered from King Midas, the famous king of Phrygia, to Cimmerian warriors. Then came the Medes, the long-lasting Persian and Pontus kingdoms, successively. After the rule of the Roman Empire, which lasted for 400 years, came the princes of Iran and the Abbasides. In Amasya, the Roman Emperor Diogenes heard the most disastrous news that an emperor could ever hear. He came to Amasya as an emperor, but it was here that he was told he had been dethroned. Thus, Amasya witnessed the dethronement of a mighty emperor. And in 1075, when the Seljuks came, Amasya witnessed the defeat of the Byzantine Empire and accepted the sovereignty of a new civilization it had never encountered before. In 1101, the visitors of the Merziphone plain were the Crusaders, and the ruler who met them was the Seljuk Sultan Kılıç Arslan. During the reign of Ghazi Ismail Khan, Amasya experienced the pleasure of being the capital. Under the İlhanlı rule, Amasya added to its cultural heritage the unique mental hospital, Bimarhane. This was a center for applied medicine where the patients were treated with music. It is the only architectural work of the İlhanlı that had remained intact until today. And in 1386, the city became a province of the Ottoman Empire that lasted for hundreds of years. After this date, Amasya was going to become a city of princes, a city that raised sultans. During the Ottoman era, the first governor of the city was the Crown Prince Bayezid, the future sultan. After Yildirim Bayezid, Prince Çelebi Mehmet, Crown Prince Murat II, Crown Prince Sultan Mehmet the Conqueror of Istanbul, Crown Prince Bayezid II, and Prince Ahmet Çelebi served as governors of Amasya. In 1470, another future sultan was born in the Amasya Palace, Yavuz Sultan Selim Khan. After Prince Murat, Prince Bayezid and Murat III became governors of the city. Amasya continued to be the city of princes for many years. Every prince who became the governor made use of the wisdom of his predecessors and made his own contributions. And all through these years, as the governors became more and more experienced, Amasya also developed and became a center of science, a cradle of art, and a living history. Sometimes it was called the City of Saints, and sometimes it was called the Oxford of Anatolia. Amasya raised statesmen as well. It was always at the focal point during important times for significant personalities and in historic events. Amasya also played a vital role in the foundation of the Turkish Republic. It was the first step on the way to independence for Mustafa Kemal and his friends. The Amasya Circular, signed on June 22nd, declared the following decision to all of the world. The independence of the nation will be gained by the resolution and the determination of the people. The ancient city of Amasya was witnessing the making of history once more. All the people of Amasya embraced this transformation. They all stood forth as the protectors of a new state. Amasya, the city of princes, the residence of kings and sultans, the city which embodies thousands of years of history from the banks of the Yeşilırmak to the summit of the Harshena mountain, the city of innumerable rulers and gods. Now it keeps a small statue of Teshup, the god of storms, in its museum. The statue of a god with thick eyebrows and proud features, wearing a short skirt and a pointed cap. This statue, which was found in Doğan Tepe in 1962, symbolized storms for the Hittites and is an evidence that the city was a religious center. Although it has no legs and no arms for the time being, one day it will certainly have its missing parts back when somebody in Amasya starts another excavation. One of the most interesting pieces exhibited in the Museum of Amasya are the mummies of Jumudar, the vizier of Anatolia, who was the grandson of the Mughal emperor Hülagü, and the Abushkai Ishboğanüyen, the emir of Amasya, and their relatives. The mummies were made in 1250 and were kept in the Jumudar mausoleum. These mummies are of great importance because they reveal the mummifying techniques of the Mughals, and they are the only existing samples of their kind in the world today. The bodies of the prince and his relatives were mummified without removing the internal organs and have remained intact until today. The only thing which wore out the mummies was when in 1944 the Yeşilırmak overflowed its banks and wetted the mummies. This city is history itself. There is a history in its winds, lands, and people. When you see the mosque with the spiral minaret, you go back to the age of Gıyasettin Keyhüsrev II, the Selçuk Sultan, but the prayer you hear from its minaret has never changed. The Sultan Bayezid complex on the shores of the Yeşilırmak River covers an extensive area. It consists of a mosque, a school of theology, a charity house, and a printing house, and it is also a peaceful place for people to walk around. The low bridge joins the opposite banks of the Yeşilırmak, and it is the only bridge left from the Roman era. This bridge has defied the overflowings of the river for hundreds of years. Amasya is full of so many riches that it is impossible to tell all about them. But the mansions on the shore must definitely be seen. The most beautiful house among them is the Haziranlar Mansion. Nowadays, it is used as a museum. These unique mansions along the Yeşilırmak shores are excellent examples of the 19th and 20th century Ottoman architecture. These mansions are being restored now, and they bring us the memories of the past. The mansions on the shore are like a string of pearls, but they were waiting for the restoration to be finished so as to carry the past into the future. In this city, sultans and princes were born and educated. They grew up, gained wisdom, ruled, and died here. It became the home of Strabon, the first geographer of the world. Amasya was mentioned in the books of the great explorers Evliya Çelebi and Ibn Battuta. In 1838, Helmut von Moltke wrote in his diary, "As soon as we reached the top of a hill, I saw the most beautiful view I had ever seen, the ancient city of Amasya." Amasya was old, very old. It sheltered wisdom, culture, wars, peace, different peoples, gods, memories, and dreams. It still embraces all of these. It still watches the Yeşilırmak in dignity. Every day it opens a new page in history. With every excavation carried out, it adds something new to the cultural and traditional heritage of Amasya. It still lives in mansions, goes to the mosques of centuries old for prayer, relaxes in the promenades of the old kings and sultans. It inhales the smell of the oldest fruit in the world while walking in the apple orchards. Its fame spreads beyond borders, just as the smell of its famous apple. It makes its farmers happy and presents people who stop to taste its riches, pleasure, and fulfillment. And the ancient Amasya is now getting ready to set out on a journey towards the future. It is opening its doors to visitors. It is calling to people to come and visit history. It invites its visitors to a journey, an adventure throughout the history of thousands of years as they climb from the skirts of a mountain to its summit. In this mysterious journey, it offers spiritual repose and relaxation, hospitality, and the pleasure of sharing the heritage of thousands of years.